I feel like we should have had a New Year's Eve theme or New Year's theme song for 2017.
Well, yeah, we could have.
Yeah, well, I didn't think quite that far ahead.
Yeah, we thought of it now.
Honestly, like right now.
Yeah, you didn't even say anything.
No.
Hey, we're Power and Speed. 908-751-0211.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook or iTunes if you haven't yet. So.
And you know, Tad, you never plug your own stuff. Your Barn Find Nation.
Yeah, no, because I got this Power and Speed guy posting all over it. It's weird.
I don't post any shit anywhere.
It's a link.
Including our homepage.
Yeah, we don't even look at it, let alone post.
No, but Tad's got that Facebook thing, Barn Find Nation.
And no sleep at all, but.
Which one's bigger?
You don't have to go out of control here, Tad. We're giving you a little credit. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Which one has more followers?
Barn Find Nation.
It's got like a zillion.
Nah, I only got like 3,200.
That's pretty damn good.
That is good.
Somewhat.
Now, what did you post? A whole bunch of pictures that you were talking about of...
Yeah, I posted a thing of the Dukes of Hazzard backstage car crashes, all the Chargers all wrecked, and it started going haywire. Then I just went to check it, see what I was up to. They deleted it.
Who took it off? One of the Duke boys?
Maybe Bo, maybe Luke, maybe,
Sheriff, whatever.
Roscoe. No, Roscoe's dead.
Roscoe's dead.
Really?
And so is Boss Hog.
Wow. Speaking of dead, how about that Carrie Fisher and then her mom thing?
Oh, God.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy.
She died of a broken heart.
Isn't that amazing?
It really is. Sad.
I couldn't even believe it when I heard that happened, because everybody's like, oh my God, what was her name? Debbie Reynolds?
Yeah.
I mean, I think she was in older stuff, so I don't really know her.
Yeah.
But people were talking about it. And I'm like, yeah, well, another celebrity died. Yeah. And then I didn't make the connection. I didn't really listen that was her mother.
In case you don't know, guys, listeners, Mike's 12. That's why he doesn't know about Debbie Reynolds. Come on, you're not that young. You don't know who Debbie Reynolds is?
I couldn't tell you one thing she was ever in.
I can't either.
All right, well, there you go.
But I know who she is.
Yep.
I heard the name.
And George Michael passed away.
Yeah,
one of Tad's personal favorites.
Don't even start.
Tad has been known to drive around the streets of Somerville Friday night with "I Want Your Sex" blaring.
That and Freedom, right?
No.
Yes, that's it.
I remember him driving up the driveway here with Freedom blaring.
Actually, it's real funny. I was watching Adult Swim. They have this new animated stop motion thing on. The guy said, "Stop! You hear that? That's a deep cut track of Right Said Fred." And I was like, I just thought of you, Mike, but.
One day we're going to get into the Right Said Fred discussion.
We can't.
We're
going to deep dive it.
One day we will get into that discussion about why Tad seems to see after Tad's. I'm going to stop right here.
No, it was sad with all the people dying. Anybody dying is kind of sad.
Well, they had to run the race to get their name in the 216 death list. Who knows?
And then I opened up Twitter and I saw Betty White as a trending
survivor
name, and I'm like, oh no.
No, she came up as a survivor.
Did you hear about the guy who apparently paid? I'm going to get this wrong, but it's true. Somebody's paying a whole bunch of money to keep Betty White alive in 2017.
Yeah,
like he wants to hang out with her. He wants to make sure she doesn't do shit that's going to hurt her. Like he's crazy.
Yeah, that's right. He took up a collection on GoFundMe.
That's right. He did a GoFundMe. That's right.
And he was trying to get enough money to follow her around. So wait, this guy's getting paid for stalking.
For stalking.
Yeah, pretty much. Didn't you set up a GoFundMe for Adam Carolla or something?
No. You dick.
Sorry.
I will point out that all of his movies have been quite well received.
Yeah, they have.
So while you make fun of me, the ace man is the man.
Come on, I'm only busting your balls. I watch his movies.
Yeah, the Winning was great.
Winning was really good. I thought that was Charlie Sheen.
No, well, he's another one. But that's who was the celebrity? Yeah, it was Charlie Sheen that said that he asked God to take Trump next.
Charlie Sheen.
What an asshole.
Total nut job.
He is.
They're all nuts.
Well,
he's got tiger blood,
That's right. I forgot about that.
The what?
He's got tiger blood.
Yeah.
You didn't know this?
No.
He says, you spend a minute in his head and you'll lose your mind. You wouldn't be able to take it.
In Tad's head or Charlie's head?
No, Charlie Sheen. Okay. But actually, it's a good point because I don't know if you'd be able to take Tad's head either.
No, he wouldn't.
Was that some kind of... Why did you got to explain to me. You can't just say tiger's blood and then drop it.
I don't know.
Tad?
It was part of he had this. Who interviewed him? Some broad, right?
A lot of people, but that's one of the things. He was sitting there. I can't be taken down. I got tiger's blood. I forget what his whole
it's mad
motif was.
Really is.
Yeah. Was that before or after they outed him of having
Who
HIV?
knows? Who knows? He does?
Yeah.
God. We got to talk about car stuff at some point.
Anyway,
Yes, we should.
What kind of car does he drive? Here's a quick question.
Probably whatever he'd like, because I'm
Yeah,
sure no
he's got
matter
the money
what
for
kind of
it.
asshole the guy is, I'm sure he's probably got more than enough cash.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
But anybody got any car stories, like cool stuff they did? Because I got a few.
No, I don't. I mean, I did the whole Christmas and New Year's thing and kind of didn't even think about cars.
What did I do? Nice, productive
Oh,
after
I
my
know what you
Christmas
did.
dinner. What did
Damn,
I do?
I forgot to put the pictures up too.
Oh,
Damn
my
it.
God.
What did I
Are
do?
we really going to talk about this?
We should.
He cleaned the carpet in his truck.
I bought a
Yeah.
carpet cleaner, like a spray down, hot water,
Right,
suck it out
right,
carpet cleaner.
Right.
It is amazing. Amazing.
I really need the crickets. The crickets.
I agree.
Hold on. You looked in the back of the truck.
It looked really clean.
Does that carpet look like
It
new?
looks like the best carpet I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Does the truck feel like it makes more torque now?
It actually, well, let me tell you.
You did take 50 pounds out
I
of
did.
the back?
That's really scary. And I mean, I think this would be a good argument for anybody not putting wall-to-wall carpeting in your house, because it is not possible that this much dirt could come out of an area of carpet that never saw feet.
Yeah.
It was absolutely insane. I'm going to get, I think I got the video. I can give Tad to put that up. It's amazing what it does. So just
And 50 pounds got to be worth 300s, right? In that truck?
Mike's car detailing corner.
I know. I hear you. You got the body thing and the carpet thing.
I actually fixed a ton of stuff on the truck over the
rebuild
past.
the injectors.
Yeah, I do want to rebuild the injectors.
You are
We
moving
got
along.
it. Now let's talk about that. Was a good way to get into that. What's upcoming here? Paul is on when?
End of the month, I think. I got to firm that up with him,
Okay.
but he did agree. Hey, before we lose all of our listeners, because we're talking about
Tiger blood and
tiger's blood.
Well,
and
we're just
people
talking
dying.
about
vacuums
injector
and-
dynamics, which is something that a
Yeah,
lot of people have asked
No,
for.
I just want to say we got a good guest coming up tonight, so hang in past all the crap we're talking about right now. Like me personally, I'm not making much sense. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
we can talk about LED lights.
Back to car. No, let's get back to carpet.
We don't need to. I can see you're minimizing what I accomplished. It's fine. No, I mean the product. Look, I want when I go to buy something, I'd like to go online and get results and information from people that I could trust. I can tell you that I bought this stupid thing. It's made by Mighty, MYTEE, and this one was an HP 60. Is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are so inclined that you want to clean your carpets and clean them well, good product.
Giddy up.
Giddy up and pick one up, because it did wonders.
Are we still going to be able to buy these after Donald takes office?
What the hell does that have to do with a vacuum?
He
Is it
lost.
made here or is it made in China?
He lost his mind.
This is what we got to deal with.
All righty. So what else?
Car wise, nothing. Nothing. That was it. I fixed shit. I did maintenance stuff and dumb little shit that I had to do. And that was it.
I did no car stuff at all.
I don't think I heard from you, with the exception of Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Despite calling you probably 3 or 4 times, I might add.
You know what I did? I played with my guns a little bit, and other than that, it was all like doing stuff with family and going over people's houses and all that crap.
And when
Christmas thing.
when that happens, does your phone get like turned off?
Mm-hmm. Well, let me shut the ringer off.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand what goes on in Tom's head here. That's all.
Are you a little butthurt because I didn't call you back or something?
No, but there was actually several things that I wanted to talk to you about over.
I know you yelled at me once. We're just, thanks for doing this on the show too.
I just have to, make everybody understand that, I
Mike does yell at me all the time.
I do yell at him all the time.
Oh, who doesn't Mike yell at? Come on.
Tad, car stuff over the weekend? Anything? So anything cool? Anything?
The only thing I watched is the last 2 episodes of Top Gear, which were pretty good. Or not Top. Oh, Jesus Christ. Grand Tour. Oh, how did I do that?
Were they good? Because I didn't
Yes.
watch the last 2. The
Yeah,
first
because-
couple I was kind of disappointed with. And
Oh,
what
they're
we're
getting better.
What we're talking about is the Amazon series of, the remake, we'll say, of Top Gear, which can't be called Top Gear. It's called the Grand Tour.
Right.
Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May. And the Top Gear show, if people didn't watch it, like they don't watch it now, and make no mistake about it, we're not talking about the American one. We're talking about the one from the UK. That was a tremendous show in every aspect. The specials, like where they traveled, they have one that my personal favorite. They went to Myanmar. I don't even Burma.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Unbelievable.
well, they went across Africa. The ones on top here.
geography.
Yeah, I don't either. So to watch some of the stuff was pretty amazing. But the new show is out. If you have Amazon Prime, you can check it out. And we're not getting paid from it. I mean, we're just telling you that those guys are good. They're funny. They're entertaining, and
Myanmar
cool car stuff.
Whatever.
Yeah,
No, I will tell you that I did see the first ad on national TV for that show.
did you?
Yeah, I did.
So they're actually
Oh, yeah.
advertising it online.
It might have been on Fox. No, it was on like a big channel.
For Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, so they're advertising Amazon's
Yes.
service on regular conventional TV.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool. I hope they do well, and I got to tell you, I wasn't a big fan of the first couple.
Trust me, it gets better.
Well, I hope so, because like some of the stuff seemed like they were trying too hard. You know what I mean? Like it was, they were trying too hard to make
They're
this.
finding their way. You know, it's the new show, new audience, so to speak. But
I'm giving them a break. I know it's going to take a little bit.
like I said, the last one they just did Namibia or whatever down in Africa, and they drove on the beach in the desert. They were given 3 Volkswagens. They all made Mars Maxes in their various ways, especially Clarkson.
And Jeremy, which, you know, we never really talked about this. The reason we came up with power and speed is we were trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
And power and speed is something that
is something they'd say. You
Jeremy
know, it's like
says.
power and speed.
Yep.
I think he actually says speed and power, but that's because
It's copyrighted. It's not copyrighted this way.
I thought he said power and speed is something like he had that tagline that you recorded actually.
maybe.
Power and speed.
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
Well, that and we were failures and we couldn't come up with a
Yeah, we couldn't.
with a viable name over.
Like, how about car stuff?
It's kind of like the T-shirts. We
You know, everybody's failed at that.
not FUD.
But we have trinkets.
Don't reel me in, man, because I'll. There's plenty of shit he's failed at.
All right. Well,
double-sided trinkets.
last thing we're going to talk about before we get to our guest is if you would like a piece of power and speed history for free, crafted by the hand of FUD in his garage milling machine. He has actually made some little power and speed logo. I mean, what would you call them? Blocks of aluminum? Because they're not for a keychain.
They're
Well, if they had a ring, a little hole drilled in them, it would be a keychain.
That'd be a pretty
they're
big fucking
blocks-
keychain.
They're blocks of aluminum.
All right. Well, Tad put a picture up, and at the end of the show, we're going to
It's on the power and speed page. So.
figure out who wants them, and I think we have 5. Don't we have 5?
Yep, for the callers.
We have 5, right, Tom?
Yeah, we have 5. Yes, we have 5.
All right, Tom. Why don't you talk about our guest here?
Well, good guest. His name is BJ McCarty. He's the general manager of VMP Superchargers and Performance. I've known these guys for quite a while, and we're doing some stuff together now. But it's cool. It's a cool story. So we bring him in and let him tell it.
I think we got him right here already, if everything's working. You know, that's what happens. We go away for a week, and I
know,
never
you
know
forget
if all this
everything.
shit's going to work.
I know.
BJ, you there?
You forget where all the buttons are?
Well, it's not so much the buttons. It's like half the shit in the studio stops figuring out how to work. It's, I mean, and you know what the worst thing is? That I gotta say this first before we get started. When you don't do this for a living and you have to figure this out from scratch with no help, there's a million routes and all kinds of stuff put in a console and plugins and this and that to make everything happen. And when some shit goes wrong, you now have to kind of figure it all out again from scratch because some of the stuff you can't just back up. So after we take a break, I get very nervous because it's happened once or twice before.
Well, listen, Mike, no pressure. But BJ not only is in the performance world, but he was in radio for 36 years.
Really?
So,
oh boy.
yeah, so it better be good. Or
We're getting shut down.
My testicles just shriveled.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. So, BJ, thanks for coming. Give us
You worry about things going wrong. So I will tell you, in all of the years I was on the radio, I never once dreamed about something going wrong. It was the old thing about, getting to school late and they won't let you in or hall pass. I never had that problem. Once I got into management, was never on the radio station again, ever. I used to dream about that constantly. Somebody didn't show up. I went in. I had to do it, and I couldn't do squat. I didn't know anything about what I was doing.
Perfect.
And stuff was running out. I couldn't play commercials. I couldn't play songs, and I was a complete douche.
Well, we don't have commercials, so we don't have to worry about that.
No, we're just complete douches.
Yeah.
We'll just go right to douche.
Not a problem. Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
No, we're glad to have you. So tell us about the supercharger world.
Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. No, I'm sorry. That's 4-cycle engine, isn't it?
Yeah. Or tequila.
Okay. Suck, squeeze, harder, bang, blow. Superchargers are us. We VMP Performance, and it used to be VMP Tuning and Superchargers up until about a year ago. We expanded greatly and renamed the company VMP Performance. But in our core competencies, it's aftermarket calibrations, tuning, but a huge part of it obviously is superchargers. Well over a decade ago, a gentleman by the name of Justin Starkey, who is the president of the company and the lead calibrator, had met with some folks, and he's our resident mad scientist. He's the guy that if somebody has something, I guarantee you he can build it better. And it's just pretty amazing. So he took a look at a Root supercharger by a pretty famous name brand, and said, I think we can do this differently. And he wanted to, redesign the snout where you could have smaller pulleys, more boost. He wanted to redesign the inlet, and did so. And got to a point where he engaged that company to build his own line of superchargers. And they're TVS superchargers, the twin vortices system from Eaton. And I've been at it for well over a decade. We just very recently brought out the VMP TVS Gen 2R, and I'll be glad to answer any questions about that. So, but we do them for late model Fords right now, and we are going to be branching out to both GM and Chrysler here in at some point in time in 2017. So, very excited about it. Anything specifically I can tell you about the TVS type supercharger versus anything else?
Well, yeah. Why don't we? I mean, I have a fair amount of questions, and Tom and I were laughing about exactly that statement earlier today. When we're talking about superchargers, there's a lot of terms thrown around, and you used one of them right off the bat: roots.
Right.
So we have. I remember. I don't know when it was, and I'm sure somebody will call me out on it immediately, that I think that the first superchargers that were like a screw type that were used in fuel, I think they were either Sprintex or Whipple is what I remember. And I remember it being, you could kind of tell what they were because they had little tiny dry pulleys on the blowers.
PSI was one too, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, PSI. And so, I mean, that they started talking about screw type, high helix, roots. Could you go over like some of the differences so people understand how we got to the big 671 converted off of diesel to where we are today?
Yeah, exactly. Well, not a lot of 671s anywhere on cars going around the drive-thru at McDonald's, but the roots type superchargers, the one that you're going to find that's been used on a lot of OEM cars like the 1314 GT500, the Vet ZR1, the CTSV. Roots actually goes back to the late 1800s. There were the Roots brothers, excuse me, and they actually were designed it as an air conveyor, partially for mining and some other things. Yeah, they were air pumps. They were acting like air pumps, not necessarily compressors. Roots blowers have got either a 2 or 3 lobe design, so there are two rotors inside there. Now, TVS is a little different, and I'll go over that in a minute. But depending on the size of the case, it's either 2 or 3. And they give positive pressure because just the second you step on the throttle, that pressure is in there. The case is filled with that pressure, and the rotors are turning. We'll go back in that in a couple of minutes. The other part of positive displacement is a twin screw. They're called that only because there are, in fact, 2 screw type rotors. Now on a twin screw, a Whipple or a Kennebell, there are 2 different sizes. There's a male and a female rotor that they're moving together and actually trying to. They take the air, put it down between the 2 rotors, and push it out. The the root style, or a TVS in our particular case, takes it and makes it go outward and down the sides of the case, and then down the outlet. So there are those 2, and we'll talk about those differences here in a few minutes. Then there's centrifugals, and a centrifugal is a lot of people think that it looks like a turbo, and it does for a reason. It actually works a lot like a turbo, except for the fact that it's not driven by hot exhaust gas, but by a belt or a drive. So the differences between them are centrifugal. You can make a lot of power. Those are people like Vortec, Paxton, ProCharger, Powerdyne. but it's not a constant pressure. So what happens is you have to actually start at a lower pressure and drive up to a peak pressure at peak RPM for whatever vehicle you're using. So it's not on instantly. There is that lag like you'll have on a turbo. On a positive displacement blower, a root style, a twin screw, you don't have that. In that particular case, you whack the throttle open and boom, you're at 16 PSI or whatever it is you're looking for, and it maintains that throughout the power band. So while peak power can be the same, power under the curve on a PD or a positive displacement blower is significantly better, which is the reason why you find those on OEM applications and not centrifugals.
Now, on the positive displacement superchargers like this, how do they achieve a linear boost curve or a somewhat linear? Is it basically sizing the displacement of the blower to correspond to the engine?
Yeah, good question. And without getting into a tremendous amount of science, the bottom line is that with a root style, pardon me. So you're right, and you said it very correctly. It'll achieve whatever that max boost is, and it will carry it throughout the power band. And it does that because it's constantly turning, whereas you're not constantly turning the other types. So you do have that positive pressure, that positive displacement all the time. It's always ready to go. On a centrifugal style blower, you'll take a look at whatever your peak is and what you're planning on it being, and then you have to gear that drive inside there in order to be able to hit a certain level at, say, mid boost. And the difference is that from part throttle to full throttle on a root style, let's say that you're making 16 pounds. It will continue to make 16 pounds that entire time. What it's really doing is doubling the volume, doubling the flow, because you've now doubled, say from 3,000 RPMs to 6,000 RPMs, and you're pounding this thing. So it has to have more air go through it, and it does, to maintain that 16 PSI.
Yep, got it.
On a centrifugal, you have to take that peak, and then again you've got to gear it back to where at 3,000 RPMs, let's say that you can't make it half because it doesn't half itself. On a positive displacement, it literally doubles itself. If you're at 16 at 3,000 RPMs and you're at 16 at 6,000 RPMs, it has doubled the volume that it goes through.
Sure.
You can't do that on a centrifugal because it actually triples itself. And so if you did that, you're actually cubing the number. Let's say you had 8 PSI. Well, now all of a sudden you've got a monumental amount of peak boost, and you can't do that. So therefore, they have to gear it down and have it much, much more mild on the bottom end, and that's where you lose all that bottom end torque.
So I imagine that the TVS. Now I know nothing about the TVS styles of blower. What do they do that makes them beneficial?
Pardon me. What Eaton did, a couple of things. It's rotor timing. It's also another rotor. There's 4 on each side on a TVS. And so you've, from an efficiency standpoint, every supercharger has got a window of efficiency. If you take a look and map it, you'll just take a look at it and you'll see that you're looking for a pressure ratio. And you can take a look at your, the PSI up one side and then the ratio down below. Like we're at 14.7 is obviously what our pressure is around us right now. So take a look at your pressure ratio. You take your 14.7, which is what it is on a standard day, which is 56, 57 degrees Fahrenheit and 29.92 on the barometer. That's a standard day at sea level. So if the pressure around us is 14.7, what you do is you take 14.7 plus your PSI, whatever you're making, and let's say it's 15. So now you've got about 30, and divide that by the 14.7 again. Your pressure ratio, therefore, is 2 to 1. Mm-hmm. And what you're looking, the pressure ratio is nothing more than a method by which to find that sweet spot, to describe that sweet spot within that envelope of the blower. Most of them are the sweet spot is mid boost. Let's say that blower does a has a maximum boost, maximum spin, let's say, of 23,000 RPMs, the blower itself. And let's say that its efficiency is at X, let's say it's 18. Somewhere around 15, 16, maybe even 14 is going to be that sweet spot. That's going to be the place where you're going to get the most efficiency out of the blower, and you'll be making the most power with the least amount of heat. You're compressing air. Every blower is going to make heat because
see, that's something that a lot of people don't understand, that when, part of this equation, I would imagine, and I've had this discussion with a couple people, that you can make kind of pressure because you haven't really moved volume, you've made heat, and it's not really the same thing. And that
and ultimately what you're looking for is the method by which to make more power than heat. The more heat you make, the less efficient it is. With these style superchargers, one of the things that you utilize is a system, a heat exchanger system, an intercooler system. On ours, it's on any of the ones that are roots type. It sits on top of a manifold, and that manifold is the upper and lower manifolds and the fueling unit and the intercooler. So you have a large tub type intercooler in there with grids, and it looks like a radiator, and the blower sits on top of that as it spins and compresses the air and then pushes that air out through the outlet. Pardon me. Then going through that grid, that grill, is what cools it down before the charge actually gets into the combustion chamber. There are a lot of people who have done a lot of great work on intercoolers, but it's gotten to the point where they're just about all the same anymore. They've hit kind of terminal velocity, if you will.
I was always kind of surprised that with these particular intercoolers residing under the supercharger that they could be extremely effective, but apparently they've gotten better than I ever anticipated.
Well, they have, but also the heat exchanger that drives that and cools that fluid has come miles. I've got an 07 GT500, and when I first bought it, and just with a little Eaton M122 blower that came on it, it was 500 horsepower at the crank, 420, 430 at the tires, and you'd kind of get into this thing, and all of a sudden, the second time, third time you got into this car, it was like stepping in a bucket of mud. Like, my God, how can this be? Well, Ford, in this particular case, begins to pull timing through the calibration at X temperature, downstream temperature, which is the measured temperature there at the post-combustion. And so they're doing that because high temps are, number one, it just doesn't burn as well. Number two, there's also a factor in detonation, which are clearly bad things. Well, over the years, here came bigger, there were C&R, AFCO, Fluidyne, I think is what it is. There were companies that had multi-pass heat exchangers that came out. Shortly thereafter, there were some that had fans on them. Mine's a great example. I can go out, my car makes a little over 800 horsepower at the tire, and I can go out and make a pass at 140, 141, and I'll see a downstream temperature of 140, maybe 145 at the end of that run. Now, we changed the calibration on this car because we know it's not going to run that far, at those pressures. But on the way back, on the return road, I'll watch this thing drop from 145 down to 110 because I've got two huge fans sucking air across this core. I have 2 or 3 passes of that fluid going through that core before it gets into the intercooler. So it's that technology that's really made a big difference here.
I'm curious about that fluid. Is that fluid separate from the cooling system?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, Tad.
I didn't know there, but
I didn't. Tad knew that.
We really need a camera in here.
I know we do. I keep saying that. We do.
they want to make me a star. So
I didn't know that. So, but that's pretty cool that you can get to 110. Now that's not inlet air temperature. That's post pressure, right? That would be after the supercharger.
Exactly.
Wow.
Here's another great thing. Now, I will tell you this: you want to make sure and take a battery charger with you, because they do pull a lot of amps when you use them this way. But I could take my car back to the pits and turn it off, and just turn the whole system off. Go have a hot dog, whatever. Come back in an hour, and I can turn the key on, and I can see a downstream temperature of 170 or greater because nothing's been moving.
From the heat soak just sitting there.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's just sitting there baking in its own crap, and it's just heat. And I mean, you've got a big heat sink there. But I can turn the system on and watch this thing drop from 170 down to 120 in about a minute to a minute and a half. Imagine if you didn't have those fans and didn't have that pump running like that. Going to the staging lanes, because you're not going to be going fast enough to run any kind of air over that core. And plus, you're driving a car. And again, you're not really making any boost just sitting there, but it is moving. And without anything moving in there, you'd go out and you take your next pass at 170 degrees downstream. If you didn't blow something up, it would pull so much timing you couldn't even get out. Couldn't get off the tree.
Now, I guess part of the benefit, because one of the things that happened with the old style superchargers, like 671s, is they would get so hot, and what they would do to the inlet air was crazy.
Yeah, it'd just be useless.
Yeah, it's virtually useless.
Yep.
I guess the newer units, like I saw that on the Corvettes. Now, I don't know what they're using, but I didn't realize this. They actually bypass, I guess, around the blower so that they're not working, I guess, in a vacuum or against that. I don't quite understand that whole process.
Trying to make it not
on a ZR1.
Yeah.
They're, they too use a TVS type supercharger, and as far as the actual inlet is concerned and the bypass, I'm not sure. We have on ours, we do use a bypass that is a butterfly, if you will, and so therefore, only when you have got that boost, the vacuum slash boost that opens and closes that butterfly, are things going on, and is that heat going down through there. I'm not sure how they do it on the ZR1, but heat management is clearly a very important piece of that, and that's the reason why we ended up AFCO builds it for us, but we ended up building our own heat exchanger. It's a triple pass dual fan heat exchanger, where this stuff they're huge. I mean, they're at least twice the size of the factory unit. And there are no fans on a factory unit. So, but yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that if you're driving up and down the street and your buddies to the next stoplight, if you've been cruising around for a couple hours and you step in it, you still got power. And the only way to do that is to have that fan pulling ambient air across there and cooling it. You can literally open that. It's a non-pressurized tank. You can open that tank and put your finger in there, and the fluid's cool after just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's amazing that there'd be that much rejection. So that's a hell of an accomplishment because
it is. I mean, not the rejection's a huge piece of this, but that the ability to rebound from really big power is what really makes a difference. So,
how hard is it to make? You said your car makes 800 wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how big a deal is that on? You got a 5.4 or a 5.0?
I have a 5.4. It's God love it. It's a Triton truck engine with a set of GT supercar heads on it. That's all the GT 500 was.
Yep.
It's funny. I've been with the company for nearly 4 years, but I've been involved in this for well over a decade with my own car. And when people could get people were spoiled. I mean, the GT 500 is a great example. A 7 to 9 GT 500, you can throw a cold air, a tune, and a smaller pulley on this car, and you can go from 425 to 525 at the tire for about $1,200.
Wow.
I'm a bit of an older guy, and I remember spending a hell of a lot more than that to get a fraction of that kind of power in cars years ago.
It is crazy how spoiled we are. You're right.
But you look at that, and you look at our blower. If you had the VMP Gen 2 TBS blower, you literally could take this car from, again, 425, 430 tire to be at around 700 tire, and that kit will run you somewhere around $4,500. I mean, and it's all turnkey.
Wow.
So bigger blower. It goes, from an M122 to a 2300 or 2.3 liter TVS. So different blower, a little bigger, much more efficient.
That's retail?
But, yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot of bang for the buck.
You ain't kidding. I didn't expect that.
Didn't Jeff had something like that on his Mustang? He brought here?
I thought Jeff did. One of our listeners, sorry, BJ, one of our listeners and a good friend, I think he had one of yours.
Mm-hmm.
And we're asking him right now.
Yeah, he said he did.
Yeah, he did in the chat room. And it was pretty badass. But I didn't expect it to be that inexpensive. It's a good deal.
Was he, did he have a 5 liter or did he have a GT500?
I don't know. It had a horse on it.
Yeah, it did. It was a Mustang, and he sold it before he drove it into a crowd. So
okay, so it was EcoBoost with the cow catcher.
It could have been. Who knows?
It was a GT500 2010.
GT500. I just see it. And that's a great example. I mean, that car is a perfect example. As I said, the natural transition for people on that car is, we make a kit. It's an intake. For the 7 to 9 guys, it's an intake because all had closed air boxes. Jeff's 10 had an open air intake, and what Ford considered to be the KR, the King of the Road tune from the factory, so it made more power than what the original ones did. But we could take these things and go from the factory 3-inch Foley to our 2.5 press on, put an intake on it, put a tune on it, and pick up 100 horsepower at the tire. And that was great because then we could sell you a clutch.
Yeah, right.
And a heat exchanger. Because it doesn't matter whether it's a bigger blower or you're just spinning it faster, you still need to take care of the heat. But the 5-liter cars, the 11-up Coyote cars are a phenomenal example. I mean, that's such an enormously popular car because it's great. It's 5.0 again. Everybody feels great about it. They love what it does. It's light-ish comparatively, but it's a great car. Well, it makes about 390 maybe on a good day at the tire. We've got a blower kit, and you're talking about value. We've got a blower kit for like $62.99. That comes with the upper and lower assembly. So you've got the heat exchanger we talked about. We've got the dual fan heat exchanger, the intercooler, all the pulleys, the belts, injectors, fuel, our own fuel pump booster, everything. The supercharger, the calibration comes with it. Everything, beginning at $62.99, and your car's going to make 600 tire as a starting point.
Wow.
So
that's impressive.
Ford gives us, and so does Chevy, and so does Chrysler. They all give us really good
starting points,
really good canvases on which to paint.
Yep.
Well, that's one nice thing about the automotive embracing the industry, going in the direction of forced induction, because like the platform is already there, so it makes it easier to have this stuff. Because if you're going. I know there's kits, and I know people can talk about it all they want, but like I have a 427 Corvette. If you go to put a blower on that car, there's a lot you got to do.
Yeah,
it's not.
Oh yeah.
The way that the cars are now, I mean, they fit into the hood. Everything's kind of nice. It's a nice packaging deal. So that's a hell of a lot of bang for the buck. It really is.
It really is.
Now you had mentioned that you guys are gonna move into GM and Chrysler. The same guy, Jeff, happens to have a SS. What year is that thing? At 2015? I think it's a 15 he has.
Wait for Jeff to.
I thought it was 14.
Might be, whatever. But it's currently broke.
Yeah.
and by the way,
14.
While you're waiting, okay. And while you're waiting on Jeff, I do want to say something to Dave that I see is there. He gave me the what? Because he's hearing us talking about the 5-liter cars and the 600 horsepower. He has a truck that we also do. He's got a Raptor, and that's a big old dog. I mean, that thing's a big a lot of torque. 6.2 liter engine. We do a supercharger kit for it, and it's it'll get you safely. It'll get you 125 horsepower at the tire with a blower kit. You're going to be in the 475 to 500 range. 500 range on a with a lot of octane. It's not a high powered engine. It's not a high revving Coyote engine. But anyway, so they're a big dog, and they do great with a blower. Back to GM. Our plan is to be able to offer through some partnerships not only superchargers but the full kit, where you can take the NA car and make it a blower car, just like we do on the Mustang. So you're talking about, again, 65 to 85, depending on what flavor you want and how much power you want. So, but we're excited about it. We think there's a whole new realm of people out there that are getting into these cars, and they're very nice. They're tough,
No doubt. So, I just want to tell everybody, we're also, our company and your company are working on, you're doing a project that we're involved in a little bit. Why don't you tell us about that?
I will. It's an interesting thing. Tom and I, Tom has known the company for some time, and Tom and I spent some time together at PRI in Indianapolis before the end of the year. My particular car has been an R&D car for VMP Performance for years, well before I started working there. I was trying out parts and pieces because I was racing the car a lot, and so I said Justin Starkey, who owns the company, was nice enough to say, "Here, try this. Let's make this work," and support me through all of this stuff. So the car was built. It's one of the first 400 GT500s built back in '06. So it's been around. 65,000 miles on the car. We have pounded it on a completely stock long block. Never cracked a 9. It's ran a 10.05 at 141 on like a 142.60. Apparently, it just got lazy on the back end or something. Either that or I was shifting like an old man. Somebody told me that. But we were just doing some testing on our latest incarnation, the Gen 2R, which, and just a quick thing, if you look at a Roush supercharger or a Ford Performance supercharger, which is a root style TVS, they have an elbow on them that you bolt on, and then or what Roush calls it a spacer between the blower inlet and the throttle body. Ours is one big integrated air box that is it's all smooth. We take tons of metal out of it. You can throw a small puppy through it. It's huge, and it'll take a standard throttle body and bolt right up, but with a tiny amount of. I took a little bit of the body of the inlet off for mine to put a huge elliptical on there just to see what it would do, and so it's great. It comes through with a whole lot of air, and we wanted to check it and see how much power it made versus our Gen 2. So we put it on there. We're running, we're running E85 on the car. We've got injector dynamics. Thank you, Paul Yaw. We have injector dynamics injectors on it. We've got a 4 Innovations fuel system in it. So it's got everything that it needs, except good rods and pistons. And so we'd had it on there, beat it to death. We made a peak number of 867 horsepower at the tire. And I drove it home, and it's like 40 miles to my house. I drove it home, drove it back the next day, and I'm going, here's a little bit of a weird kind of, I don't know, a vibration to it. So we took a look at everything, couldn't figure out what it was. Started taking pulleys and, everything apart, pulled off the crank damper and saw on the hub there was a crack down the crank damper. And I thought, well, that's a problem. And I looked down and I saw the snout, and the key, it's a single key, just like a Cobra Jet is. And the key had actually wallowed itself in the keyway, and I'm like, that's done. So we got to, do we want to sit down and put a crankshaft in a 65,000 mile engine? Well, no. So, knock on wood, thank God we were lucky enough that, that it didn't do any damage. It didn't break anything internally and take out the valve train. And so we thought, all right, well, this car is lovingly referred to as Christine because when she was 30 days old, I was living in Chicago and I had some youths throw big chunks of asphalt at her from a railroad overpass going up the Narrow Expressway.
Nice.
30 days old. And of course, you know what it was like in 2006 with these cars. You couldn't get them. They were a fortune. They were, you know.
Yep.
And, I mean, I was like out of my mind.
I would have been in jail. There ain't no way. My God.
I'm on the Ike, and there's 1,000 cars on there around me, so it's not like I can stop. And it was funny because I called the state police and I said, "Hey, this just happened." He goes, "Well, can you describe them?" I went, "Yeah." He goes, "Never mind." I'm like, "T-shirts," and I said, "Yeah, I know, but just so nobody else gets killed, you know, or whatever." And so when she came back from, you know, having all this stuff done, suddenly it was a new hood and it was, you know, something special here. And I started racing the car a lot, so it kept getting meaner. It was Christine. I mean, she got hit, she got beat up, and she came back tough.
Nice.
And, so this one is Christine Reborn. And so what we're doing is we got lucky. Like I said, we're just basically honing the block, maintaining size, line honing it, Cobra Jet crank, Manley rods, pistons. We're going from 8.4 to 9.7 on compression, L&M cams. Our buds at L&M took care of us. The Dynatech I've been using for years on that car as far as exhaust is concerned. They're taking care of that. Injector dynamics, we're going to go larger because we're going to go even more alternative fuel. So we're going to go with ID 1300s in the car. And we're thinking that between the compression lift and between that and the car being fresh, we think rather than it being 860, we think we can get it into the low 9s with the cams and the compression. And then we also believe that with our next supercharger, which I can't say anything about yet, we'll just say it's larger, and it is a TVS. With that, we think that we can possibly be 4 digits on this car and still drive this thing to McDonald's.
That's pretty cool. That's solid. And we're happy to be part of that, which is nice. So I'll be able to get some information as we go.
Yeah, we're thrilled. We're, you know, as we do with all of our partners, we're going to be doing a great job with documenting everything. I mean, our objective here, frankly, and I see this a lot, is, you know, guys are calling me up going, "I'd like to be able to do this, but, you know," and they all have an 800 horsepower number in their head now because they've seen it somewhere. So, you know, you ask how you do it, you know, safely. You need to build the engine, and they're all going, "Oh my God, I could never do that."
Yeah, sooner or later, you got to get into good parts.
Yep.
And it's a hell of a lot better to do it now than it is when you've actually stuck something through a block.
Yeah, well, that guy, Jeff, that we're talking about, let me tell you, he has got to be the luckiest sumbitch on the planet because he had the LS1 in that thing. The rods are actually S'd.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that nothing exited. I can't. It's amazing. So, yeah, you should do it before you have this, or worse.
Before you drive over to parts.
There you go. I had to get tires. Why? Blew one out in a rod.
Yeah, right.
You know, I get so many people saying, "I just can't do it. My wife gives me X amount of dollars per year." Our objective here is to take this build and document it, and we'll get you guys everything you could ever need. And the idea here is to take this thing and create packages that twice a year you can get an allowance. And so for the next year and a half, you're creating these packages for a little time, and then you've got all your stuff. And we're going to show you how to do this on a budget. This isn't to take the place of the major engine shops. They're there for a reason, and they do a great job. This is for the guy to do something on a budget with great parts. So we're going to show them how to do it, and we're going to show them how to do them with all the real, with the good stuff.
When do you think, and I'm just roughly, you'll have something out for the GM and the Hemi boys? Because I know our listeners are going to be asking that.
I would say by the end of second quarter. That's our objective.
Oh, so it'll be in this year.
Yeah, he said 2017.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So hopefully by the end of second quarter that we're there. and because we want to be able to fully support it. We can, like we do with what we've done with Roush on some things, like on 3-valve Mustangs or some trucks. We'll use a Roush blower kit, but use the upgraded fueling, upgraded heat exchanger, upgraded this, that, and the other, our calibration, so you're not locked into something. So some of this may be that, but a lot of these things are going to be our own things, and we want to be able to fully support it. So there's a lot of vetting to do. We try to do all of these things the right way and do all the vetting up front, so you don't have to. I see a lot of people on Facebook and on forums that, frankly, I look at these people and I'm like going, "You're somebody else's R&D car here. We want you to be able to, take our stuff, put it on your car, drive it, enjoy it, have fun with it, and not worry about being one of our R&D cars."
Yeah, like a test rat. No, that's awesome, and that goes to customer service, and I'm sure your customers appreciate that because they'll feel safe about just exactly what you said, throwing the stuff on and having at it. It's kind of what we all look for in this stuff.
Well, I know where you can get some.
I bet you do. Well, since you brought that up, why don't you plug the business and
Sure.
Tell everybody where they can get a hold of you guys.
Yeah, it's we're in we just moved, in fact, or are in the midst of moving this month. Historically, it's been Deltona, Florida, between Daytona and Orlando, and we just purchased a wonderful place in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. So it's about 15, 20 miles north of us, just south of Daytona. For anybody who visits us and has anything done, we're not a mod shop. We're a manufacturer, and we have a huge online store. But we're more than happy to help people out if they go, you know what? I mean, I want your kit for my 15 Mustang GT. I can't find anybody to put it on. Well, of course we're going to do that. We're going to take care of you. And, But anyway, so New Smyrna Beach, Florida. You can find us at vmpperformance.com. It's Victor Mike Papa, so vmpperformance.com. You can find us on Facebook, a very active Facebook crowd. We just got through doing a project, SEMA car with Ford called Track Attack. I hope people will go take a look at our Facebook and take a look at Track Attack. It's cool.
It is a cool car. I saw that in person. It's a really nice car.
It's badass
And very well done, very clean. Just a nice car.
Thank you. And all the people that we talked about before, but in particular, let me just do a real shout out to Cervini's, because when you see the hood on this thing, you're going to go, where can I get this? And the answer is you can't.
It's a one-off.
But it's freaking off. Yeah. Oh yeah. They actually did a donor GT350 hood on this thing, stripped the metal off of it, then did fiberglass on the outside, because when we came up with the concept of the car, it was to be kind of like a jet fighter, and and we've got our blower on there. Well, at SEMA, you don't have your hood up all the time. You're not even really supposed to have your hood up, and we're on Ford's main stage, so we're like, okay, how do people see our blower? That's
right.
So I'm like, well, let's steal a little something from the General here. I see what ZR1 does, and it's funny because you look at that and all you see is like a piece of plastic. Right? You look through that, look through that hood, and it's like, oh, okay, there's another piece of plastic. Well, this one you look through and you see our blower, and the damn thing's running, and it's really cool. But yeah, it took them a long time, and this car is it was a complete repaint. It started out black. I went up and picked it up at Ford, and it came down. We made it avalanche gray like a GT350. The thing is just
It is really. I'm looking at pictures of it now. It's badass.
Yeah, so our guys should go check that out on Facebook. It is pretty neat.
Go take a look. We'd love to have you take a look at the stuff on vmpperformance.com. We've got a really vibrant customer support tab on there that's manned 24/7. So if you got questions just about what we talked about today, I mean, shoot us a note. shoot stuff to these guys. They know how to reach us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Phone number if you need it is 321-206-9369. My personal email address, feel free to use it, BJ, like Bob and John, at vmpperformance.com. But I'm honored to have had some time with you guys.
No, it's fun, and it's always great to have a good guest that's knowledgeable and can talk about stuff. I mean, almost all of our guests have been fantastic.
Yeah, they have been good. But we may try to get you back on again when the project is done. Maybe for a short visit, just to recap, or when your GM stuff comes out.
Yeah, when the GM stuff comes out, we got him back on.
Yeah,
for sure,
no doubt,
because there's going to be a lot of interest in that.
Oh yeah,
no doubt.
Excellent.
So
we will be there for you. But thank you again so much.
Well, thank you, BJ. Appreciate it very much.
We'll talk, bud. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye, man.
Same to you. Bye bye. Good guest.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He's very clear too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a radio guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it was funny. He actually told me, he says, man, I got a really good signal in my, I forget what room in his house, so.
Yeah, the phone was good.
Yeah.
He didn't call in and check my levels. Wasn't.
No, he's a good guy. And that company, like I said, I've known him for a while, and I know they make good stuff. They're kind of one of the smaller but up and coming, companies, and their stuff is nice. That car is really nice. So
now, this is gonna be a whole essentially turnkey kit to upgrade your car.
Yeah. Like
rods, pistons, but basically the shit that breaks.
I don't know that they're going to sell it as a kit as such, but they're going to make it available. Our stuff is available to whoever wants to buy a kit, and they're going to encourage. I don't think they'll ever put it to. I don't know what they're going to do. Their business plan is what it is, but we gave them what they needed to to handle that kind of power, and it's going to be a good R&D deal for us. So it's a good program. It really is.
Well, I'm not hating on the Mustang, people mowing down crowd, but
I did have to get that in there.
That was nice. Are the modulars a little less forgiving than the LSs?
As far as
from the factory, what they seem to
tolerate abuse and stuff.
See, but that's not even fair, because we're talking about apples and oranges. We're talking about one thing with a blower, one with a turbo.
Well, you know what you got to remember too. First of all, BJ's a calibrator.
Yeah.
And so is the owner of the company. So when you're dealing with your own car and you're calibrating very carefully, the engine will handle more than if you just got some guy throwing some numbers at a map, and stock stuff will tend to break quicker when you make little mistakes.
Yeah.
These guys that's what they do.
I guess abuse tolerance threshold, when you go over what they'll handle.
Yeah. So, but I don't know that the modular is any better. And you're talking about in stock form, can it make 800 versus an LS making 600? I don't know. But it seems like they can. Maybe they have, but really all it is if they have a little bit better connecting rod, and they may, we used to make the rods for a lot of the Ford stuff, and they went out and did their own thing because it's what companies like that do.
I remember that years ago that Manley was supplying rods for some of the special Ford stuff.
Yeah.
I remember that.
$90,000 a year.
And now you're just relegated to what? Koenigsegg?
Yeah, pretty much. Just the little guys.
Took a step back.
The one little guy.
Yeah. No, we still do a lot of private label stuff, but I guess we all kind of knew that was coming because Ford is a little bit bigger company than we are. They have the wherewithal to do whatever they want.
I always kind of found that weird with the Ford side of things, that they would kind of outsource to smaller companies to make things that you would think are a no-brainer for a company of their size.
Well, when those programs start, they have nowhere to go. So they get.
Well, I told the story a couple of times about there going to be a nitrous Pete edition Mustang, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me. But that's whatever.
Yeah, we did Mustang GT for a long time. We did all the Lightnings, and we did the Ford GT, the first iteration of that. So that's a pretty cool company.
All right.
But yeah, good company. I would encourage our listeners, our Ford guys, and I know there are some because they've asked for Ford people on, and reach out to them and buy some Superchargers.
Yeah, and with the GM stuff coming.
Yeah. Well, we'll get him back when that happens.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. And that's Jeff has experience with the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, you remembered that or picked up on that. Yeah. I don't know. It's a Ford with big wide cylinder heads and everything. I don't know.
Jeff's never driven his into a crowd.
I don't believe so.
That's right. He got rid of it before.
He got rid of it before.
But he's actually a Chevy guy. So
I know.
that probably.
I know.
That's so bad.
No, he is.
The curse followed him over to Chevy, though.
So, Tad, on your post of Fudd's little trinkets, has anybody requested? Or are we going to?
Well, nobody's requested. We got 3 likes, and
All right, well, look, there's 5 of those trinkets to go, or maybe 7. I don't know, maybe 8. Tom was threatening to throw one at me. So
I did throw one.
I put that, on the call, when we say they can call to try to win the not.
Yeah, well, then I got to pay attention to the phones.
Yeah, well.
And that's not exactly my strong suit.
How about the first 7 guys that message our Facebook page with the word FUD, sponge FUD fail pants?
Oh, come on, dude.
How about just FUD? FUDD.
Well, whatever. Just figure out now you're muddying stuff up here. Now people are going to be like, no fair. He said do this. He said do this.
Look, you're right. I did.
Whoever replies to that post that they want one by time.
Yeah, with anything.
I think we have 5 or 7, or maybe we could contract FUD to make more. I don't know.
Who knows?
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a nice gesture. That's what Alan was talking about. He was going to make for Christmas. He's got a CNC machine, a real CNC machine, and he just put some fonts in and carved out a little power and speed thing. But we did make a little progress on a logo that
Remember,
Tad is going to have to work on.
It's double-sided, our little.
Yes, it is double-sided.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting.
That is exciting.
All right. All right. Anything else? Now, you're going away.
I am. I'm going to Japan.
You're going to Japan. I believe the infamous FUD is going to sit in while you're gone.
Perfect.
I believe.
We have our first commenter.
Yeah.
Which would be Jeff.
Jeff wants one?
Yes.
Come on, dude. He could really, Jeff? I'm not even shipping it to him. He can drive his ass up here and get it.
Well, okay, that's fine, but you can't keep him out.
Christ. All right, so you're going to be gone.
I am.
2 weeks or 1 week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks you're gone.
Yep.
So I don't know if we'll have FUD for 2 weeks. He might not be able to get that long of a pass.
A reprieve.
From Mama.
From his wife. I don't know. But
that comment on the chat room had to be about FUD.
No, it wasn't a chat room. He said it.
Oh, that's right. He said it.
He said it
out loud.
Yeah, he said, you have to get money from his wife. I'm like, oh, man, that was harsh. I was like,
how did he know FUD's story?
I don't know.
I didn't say it.
Why you got to pick on a poor guy?
That was you picking on him.
I'm
just chiming in.
Okay.
Somebody texted us FUD on our.
See, that's what I mean. Tom's got it all fucked up now. People are replying, texting FUD.
That's all right. He gets it.
Whatever. All right. So you're going to be gone for 2 weeks. FUD's going to come in. After that, you're going to have, hopefully we have Paul finally from Injector Dynamics.
Yes, we are.
A lot of people really want to hear from him. So
yeah, it'll be a good show.
I actually have a couple questions for him that we talked about earlier. Tad?
Yes.
Anything?
That's about it. I brought up my Grand Tour.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy that Volkswagen that you.
I really want to know
what?
Why during that whole interview you were turning your head sideways typing on your iPad, because it looked pretty strange from over here.
So I got a cough and I don't want to sniffle in the microphone and stuff.
I don't think that's what it is. But
okay.
All right. Well, we'll be back. Tom will be gone, but we'll be back on Monday. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.